The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 1, Paper on Hinduism. This is a doctrine of love declared in the Vedas, and let us see how it is fully developed and taught by Krishna, whom the Hindus believe to have been God incarnation on earth. He taught that the man ought to live in this world like a lotus leaf, which grows in water but is never moisturized by water. So a man ought to live in this world, his heart to God and his hands to work. It is good to love God for hope of reward in this or next world, but it is better to love God for sake of love. And the prayer goes, Lord, I do not want wealth, nor children, nor learning. If it be thy will, I shall go from birth to birth. But grant me this, that I may love you without the hope of reward. Love unselfishly for love's sake. One of the disciples of Krishna, the then Emperor of India, was driven from his kingdom by his enemy and had to take shelter with his queen in the forest of Himalayas. One day, Queen asked him how it was that he, the most virtuous of men, should suffer so much misery. Yudhishthir answered, my beloved queen, the Himalayas, how grand and beautiful they are. I love them. They do not give me anything, but my nature is to love the grand, beautiful. Therefore, I love them. Similarly, I love the Lord. He is the source of all beauty, of all sublimity. He is the only object to be loved. My nature is to love him, and therefore I love. I do not pray for anything. I do not ask for anything. Let him place me wherever he likes. I must love him for sake of love. I cannot trade in love. The Vedas teach that the soul is divine, only held in the bondage of matter. Perfection will be reached when this bond will burst, and the word they use for it is therefore mukti, freedom. Freedom from the bonds of perfection, freedom from death and misery. This bondage can only fall off through the mercy of God, and this mercy comes on the pure. So, purity is the condition of His mercy. How does that mercy act? He reveals Himself to the pure heart, the pure and the stainless. See God, you, even in this life, then and then only all the crookedness of the heart is made straight. Then all doubts ceased. He is no more the freak of the terrible law of causation. This is the very center, very vital conception of Hinduism. The Hindu does not want to live upon the words and theories. If there are existence beyond the ordinary sensuous existence, he wants to come face to face with them. If there is a soul in him which is not matter, if there is an all merciful universal soul, he will go to him directly. He must see him, and that alone can destroy all the doubts. So, the best proof of Hindu sage gives about the soul, about God, is I have seen the soul, I have seen the God, and that is the only condition of perfection. The Hindu religion does not consist in struggles and attempts to believe a certain doctrine or dogma, but in realization, not in believing, but in being and becoming. Thus, the whole object of their system is by constant struggle to become perfect, to become divine, to reach God and see God. And this reaching God and seeing God, becoming perfect, even as the Father of in heaven is perfect, constitutes and what becomes the man when he attains perfection? He lives a life of bliss infinity. He enjoys infinity and perfect bliss, having obtained the only thing in which man ought to have pleasure, namely God, and enjoys the bliss with God. So far, all the Hindus are agreed. This is a common religion of all sects of India. But then perfection is absolute, and absolute cannot be two or three. It cannot have any qualities. It cannot be an individual. And so, when a soul becomes perfect and absolute, it must become one with Brahma, and it would only realize the Lord as the perfection, the reality of its own nature and existence, the existence of absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. We have often and often read this called as losing of individuality and becoming stock or a stone. He just a scars that never felt a wound. I tell you, it is nothing of the kind. If it is happiness to enjoy the consciousness of this small body, it must be greater happiness to enjoy the consciousness of two bodies. The measure of happiness increases with the consciousness of the increasing number of bodies. The aim, the ultimate of happiness been reached when it would become a universal consciousness. Therefore, to gain this infinity, universal individuality, this miserable little prison individuality must go. Then only, then alone can death cease when I am one with life. Then alone can misery cease when I am one with the happiness itself? Then alone can all error cease when I am one with the knowledge itself. And this is necessary scientific conclusion. Science has proved to me that physical individuality is a delusion, that really my body is one little continuously changing body in an unbreakable ocean of matter. And Advaita, that is unity, is the necessary conclusion with my other counterpart soul. Science is nothing but the finding of unity. As soon as science would reach perfect unity, it would stop from further progress because it would reach the goal. Thus, chemistry could not progress further when it would discover one element out of which all others could be made. Physics would stop when it would be able to fulfill its services in discovering one energy of which all the others are but manifestation, and the science of religion become perfect when it would discover him who is the one life in the universe of death, him who is the constant basis of an ever changing world, one who is the only soul of which all souls are but delusive manifestation. Thus is it through multiplicity and duality that the ultimate unity is reached. Religion can go no further. This is the goal of all science. All science is bound to come to this conclusion in the long run. Manifestation and not creation is the word of science today, and the Hindus is only glad that what he has been cheering is a bosom for ages is going to be thought in more forcible languages and with further light from the latest conclusions of science. Descendant, we now from the aspiration of philosophy to the religion of ignorance. At the very outset, I may tell you that there is no polytheism in India. In every temple, if one stand by and listen, one will find the worshipper applying all the attributes to God, including omnipresence of to the images. It is not polytheism, nor would the name henotheism explains the situation. The rose, called by any other name, would smell as smell. Same. Names are not explanations. I remember as a boy hearing a Christian missionary preach to a crowd in India. Among other sweet things he was telling them was that if he gave a blow to their idol with his stick, what could it do? One of his hearers sharply answered, "If I abuse your God, what can he do?" "You would be punished," said the preacher, "when you die. So my idol will punish you when you die," retorted the Hindu. "The tree is known by its fruits. When I have seen among us them that are called idolaters, men the like of whom is morality and spirituality and love I have never seen anywhere, I stop and ask him myself, can sin beget holiness? Superstition is a great enemy of man, but bigotry is worse. Why does a Christian go to church? Why is the cross holy? Why is the face turned towards the sky in the prayer? Why are there so many images in Catholic Church? Why are there so many images in the mind of Protestants when they pray? My brethren, we can no more think about breathing. By the law of association, the material image calls up the mental idea and vice versa. This is why the Hindu uses the external symbol when he worships. He will tell you it helps to keep his mind fixed on the being to whom he prays. He knows as well as you do that image is not God, is not omnipresent. After all, how much does omnipresence mean to almost the whole world? It stands merely as a word, a symbol, as God's superficial area. If no, if not, when we repeat the word omnipresence, we think of extended sky or of space, that is all. As we find that somehow or other, by the laws of our mental constitution, we have to associate our ideas of infinity with the image of the blue sky or to the sea. So we naturally connect our ideas to holiness with the image of the church, mosque, or the cross. Hindus have associated the idea of holiness, purity, truth, omnipresence, and such other ideas with different images and forms. But with this difference that while some people devote their whole lives to their idol of the church and never rise higher, because with them religion means an intellectual assent to certain doctrine and doing good to their fellows. The whole religion of Hindu is a centered in realization. Man is to become divine by realizing the divine. Idol or temple or church or books are only the supports, the helps of his individual childhood, spiritual childhood. But on and on he must progress. He must not stop anywhere. External worship, material worship, say the scriptures, is the lowest stage struggling to rise high. Mental prayer is the next stage, but the highest stage is when the Lord has been realized. Mark the same earnest man who is kneeling before the idol tells you, him the sun cannot express, nor the moon, nor the stars. The lightning cannot express him, nor what we speak of as fire. From him they shine. But he does not abuse anyone's idol or call its worship sin. He recognizes in it a necessary stage of life. The child is father of a man. Would it be right for any old man to say that childhood is a sin or youth is sin? If a man can realize his divine nature with the help of any image, would it be right to call that a sin? Not even when he has passed the stage should we call it an error. To the Hindu, man is not traveling from error to truth, but truth to truth, from lower to higher truth. To him, all religion, from the lowest fetishism to the highest absolutism, means so many attempts of a human soul to grasp and realize the infinite, each determined by the conditions of its birth and association, and each of these marks a stage of progress. And every soul is a young eagle soaring higher and higher, gathering more and more strength till it reaches the glorious sun. Unity is variety in variety is the plan of nature, and the Hindu has recognized it. Every other religion lays down certain fixed dogmas and tries to force society to adopt them. It places before society only one code which must fit Jack and John and Henry all alike. If it does not fit John and Henry, he must go without a coat to cover his body. The Hindu has discovered that the absolute can only be realized or thought of or started through the relatives, and the images, crosses, and crescents are simply so many symbols, so many pegs to hang the spiritual ideas on. It is not that this help is necessary for everyone, but those that do not need it have no right to say that it is wrong, nor is it compulsory in Hinduism. One thing I must tell you, idolatry in India does not mean anything horrible. It is not the mother of harlots. On the other hand, it is the attempt of undeveloped minds to grasp high spiritual truth. The Hindus have their faults. Sometimes have their expect- exceptions, but mark this, they are always for punishing their own bodies and never for cutting the throat of their neighbors. If the Hindu fanatic burns himself on the pyre, he never lights the fire of inquisition, and even this cannot be laid at the door of his religion any more than the burning of witches can be laid to the door of Christianity. To the Hindu, then, the whole world of religion is only a traveling or coming up of different men and women through various conditions and circumstances to the same goal. Every religion is only evolving a God out of material man, and the same God is the inspirer of all of them. Why then are there so many contraindications? They are they are only apparent, says the Hindu. The contraindication comes from the same truth adapting itself to the varying circumstances of different natures. It is the same light coming through the glasses of different colors, and this little variation are necessary for purposes of adaptation. But in the heart of everything, the same truth reigns. The Lord has declared to the Hindus in his incarnation as Krishna, I am in every religion as the thread through a string of pearls. Wherever thou see extraordinary holiness and extraordinary power rising and purifying humanity, know thou that I am there. And that what has been the result. I challenge the world to find throughout the whole system of Sanskrit philosophy any such expressions as that the Hindu alone will save and not others. Says Vyas, we find perfect men even beyond the pale of our caste and creed. One thing more. How then can the Hindu, whose whole fabric of thought centers in God, believe in Buddhism, which is agnostic, or in Jainism, which is atheistic? The Buddhists and the Jain do not depend upon God, but the whole force of their religion is directed to the great center truth in every religion, to evolve a God out of a man. They have not seen the Father, but they have seen the Son. And he that hath seen the Son has seen the Father also. This, brethren, is a short sketch of the religious idea of the Hindu. The Hindu may have failed to carry out all his plans, but if there is ever to be universal religion, it must be one which will have no location in place and time, which will be infinite like God it will preach, and whose science will shine upon flowers of Krishna and Christ on saint sinners alike, which will not be Brahminic or Buddhistic, Christian or Mohammedan, but the sum total of all this and still have infinite space for development, which in its Catholicity will embrace in its infinite arms and find a place for every human being. From the lowest groveling savage, not far removed from the brute, of the highest man, towering by the virtues of his head and heart, almost above humanity, making society stand in awe of him and doubt his human nature. It will be a religion which will have no place for persecution and toleration in its polity, which will recognize divinity in every man and woman, whose whole scope, whose whole force will be created in aiding humanity to realize its own truth, divine nature. Offer such a religion, and all the nation will follow you. Ashoka's council was a council of the Buddhist faith. Akbar's, though more of the purpose, was only a parlor meeting. It was reserved for America to proclaim to all quarters of the globe that Lord is in every religion. May he who is the Brahmin of the Hindu, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrian, the Buddha of Buddhists, Jehovah of Jews, Father in heaven of the Christian, give strength to you to carry out your noble idea. The star arose in the east. It traveled steadily towards the west, sometimes dimmed and sometimes effulgent, till it made a circuit of the world. And now it is again rising on the very horizon of the east, the border of the Sapno, a thousandfold more effulgent than it ever was before. Hail, Columbia, motherland of liberty! It has been given to thy, who never dipped her hand in her neighborhood's blood, who never found out that the shortest way of becoming rich was by robbing one's neighbor. It has been even to thy to march at the vanguard of civilization with the flag of harmony.